In this video, I'll be revealing the 8 assets that are a complete waste of money. Assets that rich retirees never buy because they prioritize simplicity, cash flow, and liquidity over complexity and status symbols. Through working with wealthy retirees who maintain their financial freedom by avoiding certain asset types, I've discovered that what separates rich retirees from the middle class isn't just how much they accumulate, it's what they refuse to buy. And that's exactly why I'm making this video today, to show you the 8 assets that drain wealth and complicate retirement so you can stop buying like the middle class and start investing like the wealthy. If you're new to this channel, my name is Cody Gunn. I'm a CFA charter holder and the founder of Arrowstone Wealth, where we help clients retire early through smarter investing and lowering their lifetime taxes. And with that, let's dive right in. Before we list the assets, we need to understand the filter we're using. Because if you look at how the average person views wealth versus how the actually wealthy view wealth, you'll see 2 very different pictures. The middle class retirement dream is often sold as a collection of things. The vacation home, the shiny car, the complex investment product that sounds very sophisticated at the dinner party. But the wealthy retirement mindset, the one that actually preserves a multi-million-dollar portfolio, is obsessed with 3 things: liquidity, simplicity, and cash flow. Rich retirees know that complexity is the enemy of execution. They know that if an asset requires them to answer emails from a property manager while they're trying to enjoy a wine tour in Tuscany, it's not an asset, it's a job. And you'd not retire to get another job. The wealthy avoid assets that tie up capital without a clear path to returns. They understand opportunity cost. Every dollar that is trapped in a dead asset is a dollar not working for you in the market. While the middle class is buying status symbols that drain their bank accounts via maintenance and fees, the wealthy are actually buying freedom. So let's look at the first offender. This is the one that looks like a lifestyle upgrade, but is actually financial handcuffs. The math on this is catastrophic. Timeshares will typically lose 50 to 70% of their value the moment you sign that contract. If you try to sell a timeshare on the secondary market today, you'll find that the market value is essentially zero. In fact, you can find listings on eBay where owners are selling timeshares for a single dollar just to get out of the annual maintenance fees. And now let's talk about those recreational properties, the cabin in the woods or the condo on the lake. The fantasy is that you'll be there every weekend, but the reality? You go maybe 3 times a year. But the property tax bill, that comes regardless if you're there. The insurance, the HOA fees, the unexpected roof leak that happens the one week you aren't there, those are constant. This ties up a massive amount of capital. Let's say you have $500,000 tied up in the lake house that you use 2 weeks a year. That $500,000, if invested in a boring, diversified portfolio earning, say, 7% a year, that generates $35,000 a year towards your retirement. Do you know what kind of vacation you can take for $35,000 cash? You can stay at the 4 Seasons, order room service, and when you check out, you actually don't have to fix the toilet. Wealthy retirees prefer to rent luxury. It keeps their capital liquid and their weekends free of lawn care. Recreational properties drain cash flow, but whole life insurance policies represent another wealth-destroying product that wealthy retirees always avoid. Now, I know I'm going to upset some insurance agents with this one, but we need to talk about whole life insurance as an investment vehicle. To be clear, insurance is vital for protection, but mixing insurance with investing is like trying to make a grilled cheese sandwich with a toaster. It might work, but it's going to be messy, inefficient, and there are way better ways to get the job done. Rich retirees avoid using whole life policies as investments because the internal rate of return is historically poor, often hovering between 2 to 4% after you factor in inflation and the premiums. Meanwhile, the fees inside the policies can be anywhere from 2 to 3% every single year. When you have a net worth over $1 million or $2 million, you are essentially self-insured. You don't need a death benefit to replace your income because your assets are producing the income that you need. The wealthy strategy is to buy term and then invest the difference. You buy cheap term insurance for the years you actually need the protection, like when your mortgage is high and the kids are young, or if you intend to use it to pay any estate taxes you might owe. Then you take the massive savings that you didn't spend on the premiums and you invest that into the market. By the time the term insurance expires, your investment portfolio has grown so much that you probably don't need that insurance any longer. Whole life policies lock up your capital, often with surrender charges that will last for years. Wealthy people hate having their money held hostage. But what about annuities? If you've ever been to one of those free steak dinner seminars, you've probably been pitched one of these. high-fee complex annuities, specifically variable or index annuities with heavy riders, are often sold as safe to anyone who wants to retire. But that safety comes at a huge price tag. We're talking about total annual fees that exceed 3 or even 4% when you stack up mortality expenses, administrative fees, and those investment rider costs. Think about the math. If the market does 8% and the annuity company takes 4, they've eaten up half of your growth. That is not a partnership. That is robbery. Furthermore, these products are famous for surrender charges. This is the fine print that says if you want your money back within, say, the next 7 to 10 years, you have to pay a penalty of 10% or even more. Wealthy retirees value flexibility. They know that life changes, health issues will happen, opportunities arise. Locking half your net worth in a contract that penalizes you for accessing it is the exact opposite of financial freedom. If a wealthy retiree needs guaranteed income, they avoid the complex, high-fee products that pay the salesperson a bigger commission than the client ever sees in returns. High-fee annuities drain returns through costs, but the vacation home that sits empty represents another cash flow killer. Now, we touched on recreational properties, but I want to specifically target the vacation home investment myth. Many high net worth couples think, we'll buy a place in Florida, use it for a month, and it'll be a great asset we can pass on to our kids. Here's the reality check. A vacation home sits empty for 10, maybe 11 months a year. It's a liability, plain and simple. You have carrying costs, the taxes, HOA, insurance, landscaping, pool maintenance, HVAC repairs. These will typically run anywhere from 3 to 5% of the property's value every single year. If you own $1 million beach house, you're likely bleeding $30,000 to $50,000 a year just to keep it standing. And unlike a primary residence where you get the utility of living in it, this asset is just sitting there, depreciating on the inside while the market fluctuates on the outside. As you age, do you really want to worry about a hurricane hitting your property 3 states away? Do you want to manage 2 sets of contractors? Rich retirees know that simplicity is the ultimate luxury. They don't want to be property managers. They want to be travelers. They avoid the empty vacation home trap because they know the ROI on peace of mind is higher than the appreciation on a condo in Boca. Now that you understand the first 4 wealth-draining assets, if you need help with your retirement planning, click the link below to book a call, and I'll analyze your specific situation to help you optimize your retirement plan as a whole. Moving on to the portfolio itself, this is the silent killer of retirement wealth. Asset number 5 is actively managed mutual funds with high expense ratios. You might have these in your portfolio right now and you don't even know it. These are funds where a manager is picking stocks trying to beat the market. And for that privilege, they charge you expense ratios of 1, 1.5, maybe even 2%. Here's the stat that wealthy investors know and Wall Street will try to hide. Over a 15-year period, nearly 90% of active fund managers will fail to beat their benchmark. So you're paying 10 to 20 times more in fees for performance that statistically is likely to be worse than a low-cost index fund. And let's look at the compounding effect of that. If you have a $2 million portfolio and you're paying an extra 1% in fees, that is $20,000 a year leaving your account. Over a 20-year retirement, assuming some growth, that could be $500,000 of lost wealth. That's a Ferrari. You just bought the fund manager a Ferrari. Rich retirees do not pay for underperformance. They focus on low-cost, tax-efficient index funds or ETFs. They control what they can control, which is the cost of investing. They stop trying to find the needle in the haystack, and they simply just buy the haystack. High-fee mutual funds drain returns, but luxury vehicle leases represent another wealth-destroying expense that rich retirees will avoid. This one surprises people because we associate rich with Bentleys, but look at the data on the millionaire living next door. The fastest way to burn capital is to lease brand new luxury cars or buy them every 2 years. A new luxury car loses about 20% of its value the minute you drive it off the lot. Over 3 years, it can lose 50 to 60% of its value. If you lease, you're signing up for a permanent monthly payment that builds zero equity. You're essentially renting prestige. Smart, wealthy retirees understand that a car is a tool to get from point A to point B safely and comfortably. They often buy high-quality luxury vehicles like a Lexus or Mercedes or a BMW, but they buy them slightly used, letting someone else take that massive depreciation hit. Or they can buy them new and drive them for at least 10 years. The difference between a $1,200 monthly lease payment and a paid-off car is $14,400 a year in cash flow. That's enough to fund a luxury cruise or max out a grandchild's 529 plan. Rich retirees prioritize experience over the smell of the new leather in that car. Luxury vehicles drain cash flow, but collectibles purchased as investments represent another poor wealth building strategy. Asset number 7 is a favorite of the hobbyist investor. We're talking about classic cars, rare wine, art, or memorabilia bought specifically as an investment. Wealthy retirees rarely count these items as core parts of their retirement strategy. Why? Liquidity. You can't pay for knee surgery with a fender from a '69 Mustang. Collectibles are incredibly illiquid. When you want to sell, you have to find a buyer, pay the auction fees, pay shipping, and deal with the authentication. Plus, the carrying costs are hidden. You have to insure the art, climate control the wine cellar, and store the car. Rich retirees treat these things as hobbies. They're not assets. If they appreciate, great. That's just a bonus. But they never rely on them for retirement income. They rely on liquid markets, stocks, bonds, and real estate that will actually pay the rent. Collectibles lack liquidity and returns, but rental properties with poor cash flow represent the final wealth-draining asset. Finally, asset number 8, rental properties in markets that don't create cash flow. Real estate creates more millionaires than almost anything else, but in retirement, bad real estate creates more headaches than anything else. I've seen many people buying appreciation plays. They buy a condo in a hot city where the rent doesn't even cover the mortgage and HOA fees, but they're banking on the price of that property going up over time. This means you're feeding the property every month. You're writing a check to own the asset. That is the very definition of a liability. In retirement, cash flow is oxygen. If an asset is consuming cash, it is suffocating your retirement. Wealthy investors who hold real estate in retirement demand positive cash flow from day one, or they skip the headache entirely and invest in REITs or private syndications where they get the checks without getting the phone calls about broken water heaters at 2 a.m. Now that you understand all 8 wealth-draining assets, let's look at the wealthy retiree investment framework that builds wealth rather than destroys it. So if we aren't buying timeshares, whole life policies, or depreciation traps, what are we doing? We are implementing a framework that prioritizes your life over your ego. Number 1, income over assets. We focus on assets that generate predictable cash flow, dividend-paying stocks, interest from bonds, or truly passive real estate income. Number 2, liquidity is king. We ensure a significant portion of your net worth is accessible within 24 to 48 hours. This eliminates stress. When you know that you can cover any emergency without needing to sell a kidney, you will sleep better at night. Number 3, ruthless cost control. We strip out the funds with high fees, the insurance commissions, and the maintenance costs. Every percent that we save in fees is a percent less risk that we have to take in the market to hit your goals. This is how you move from a cluttered retirement portfolio to an optimized one. You stop collecting things and you start collecting freedom. Now that you understand the 8 assets that are a complete waste and why rich retirees avoid timeshares, whole life insurance, high investment products, and other wealth-draining purchases, you can start investing like the wealthy. If you need help implementing the wealthy retiree investment framework that builds rather than destroys wealth, click the link below to book a call, and I'll analyze your specific situation to help you optimize your retirement plan as a whole. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.